Hi, my name is Challis, and I'm really excited to be speaking with you all today and sharing my journey with ADHD. I'll start by just telling you a little bit about myself. I am 30 years old. I'm very outgoing, super friendly, but also empathic. I'm very sensitive to other people. I am a journalist turned entrepreneur. I worked in a newsroom for about 4 years after I graduated from college, but in March of last year, I left my job because I knew that I had a personal brand that was worth developing and sharing. I'm married. We're homeowners. We are expecting our first baby. I'm due in June. So yeah, just really regular stuff. I have built a life for myself. I am a functioning member of society, but that status as a functioning member of society is always at stake. My life is constant vigilance to stay in flow with the demands of my ADHD. My neurodivergency has shaped the trajectory of my life in very specific ways. It has shaped how I understand myself, how I approach my relationships, how I go about accomplishing my goals. So I was not diagnosed with ADHD as a child. I don't recall a lot of obstacles through my childhood. I loved my childhood. I remember being very happy. I loved school. I loved to learn. I was very smart. And when you're a kid, like when the adults like you. And I always felt liked and accepted, and the world was an inviting place. And I never felt any tension in my aptitude for success or for life. My mom, on the other hand, my mom saw me in a different light. Looking back, my childhood was definitely scattered and chaotic. Some of the more specific things would be my inability to keep up with anything. Book bags, glasses, lunch boxes, books, papers, forms, folders, anything at all. Coats, I would lose. I would lose things constantly. My poor mother probably bought 7 lunch boxes a year just to keep up with my inattentiveness. I was impulsive. I was not impulsive in class because I think I was very engaged. But outside of class, I would just do stuff without thinking. I was very adventurous. I had little regard for rules. And that was something that my mother really had to compensate for and work with. So my mom was a school teacher, and she ran our home with so much structure and order, and everything was on a schedule, and we had notes that she was put sticky notes up around the house to sort of like remind me to do things and sort of encourage me through things. And so between just the structure and the rigor of my mother, just me doing really well in school, I flew under the radar. College is where things took a turn for the worst. When I got to school, I was on my own, and the boundaries that had been provided for me were no longer there, and I did not do well. I had an inability to regulate my actions or my time. So as far as school is concerned, although I found my classes engaging because I had no time management, because I had no organization skills, I was screwed as soon as I stepped outside of the classroom. When it was time to study, when it was time to, follow through or follow up on assignments or do homework, I had no ability to take this floating task and pin it down and get it done. And so, yeah, that's what it felt like. It was all of my classes. I was unable to keep up with any of the coursework. And then in addition to that, just like personal life skills, my laundry would just pile and pile and pile up. I would lose the key to my dorm multiple times. I would never remember to get the little sticker from my fridge. And I got fined like twice a semester, every semester, because I would never like prioritize just the fundamentals of what it meant to be an adult. When I was living at home, I never had any cavities. I had great personal hygiene. But once I got to college, I just would haphazardly brush my teeth. I would like forget to put on deodorant, like just it's embarrassing, but I just basic life skills. I had no concept of ritual or rigor or routine. I was just lost to the whims of 22-year-old immaturity and the chemical dysregulation of an undiagnosed disorder. I could tell something was wrong, but I had no idea how to fix it. I remember that I would lay in my bed and be like, why am I so lazy? Why can't I make anything work? avoidance and procrastination were really big themes for me in college. And I didn't necessarily ask for help because I didn't even, that muscle wasn't even developed. The muscle to know to ask for help. Yeah, I was really immature. And I flunked out of school. It did not take long. I flunked out my sophomore year, and I came home and I got a job, and I was just in this new place where I was a failure, and I was a failure because it was my own fault. And it took a little bit of time for things to sort of, the reality of things to sort of sink in. My parents very gently kicked me out. My mom was tired of me. But yeah, I was living the flunked out lifestyle, and I hated it. I hated it. I hated it because I knew it wasn't me. That's not who I was raised to be. And so there was some discord between who I felt like I was and what I was able to do. It was just a very disharmonious existence. And I remember, my mom mentioning the ADHD thing. And so I started to look into it again. And when I began to read the symptoms of ADHD in adults, it blew my mind. I was like, this is me. An inability to focus on tasks, impulsivity, procrastination, avoidance. That's who I was. I couldn't, household chores, just all of the things that I just failed at miserably. I was seeing on paper that this could be the result of a neurodivergency. And so that was the beginning of my climb back up. So I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2016. Dr. Gary Bullock at Focus MD he changed my life. He explained to me what was going on. He explained to me how my brain worked. We figured out a medication routine, and personally, medication was exactly what I needed. It took a little while to get the doses together, but over time, I began to see the difference in my ability to focus once I was on medication. When I'm super interested, when I'm super intrigued, focus is easy. But when I'm not engaged, it takes an act of God to get me to cooperate and to participate. And without those conversations, without that therapy, without my medicine, so I was diagnosed, I got on medication. So I was ready. I was ready to try again. So I paid my way through community college to get my GPA back up. Once my GPA was at the threshold of acceptance, I applied to UAB and they let me in under conditional acceptance. And I busted my tail to get through college, keeping a schedule, keeping a routine, identifying small goals. I had support. I had my mother, I had my medicine, I had my doctors, and I had a really good support system. And I did it. I graduated from college, I got an internship, and I got a good job, and I got engaged, and I got married, and all of the things. But now I am in a new stage of life, and the challenges associated with my ADHD have evolved as well. My marriage is something that is subject to my ADHD. Creating routine and structure and rigor for my lifestyle, for me, doesn't feel optional. But for my husband, he has to make the decision to participate in that level of commitment with me. And it's been a journey. I told you all that I left my job back in March. It was a big deal for my ADHD. I abandoned a routine that I had. I abandoned the consistency that I had. I abandoned the day-to-day structure that had been established around my job. And even though I very much have an entrepreneurial spirit, I can see everything that needs to be done. It's the routine, it's the consistency, it's the discipline. I'm going to have to develop a deeper discipline to be able to hold on to the structure that I need. And it's been challenging. Not to mention there was a shortage of ADHD medication over the summer. And so I was trying to make do. And then on top of that, I'm pregnant and I can't take my medication while I'm pregnant. And that has been a change. That has been hard. It's been really hard. To be honest with you, I have to constantly remind myself to give myself grace. I'm really excited about getting plugged in with community. I'm sharing my story. It's going to be really helpful. Even doing this video reminds me like, oh yeah, that's why I'm struggling. It's because I have ADHD. It's because I'm trying to accommodate for a brain that just has special needs. I feel like my neurodivergency has given me a better look at myself. I have been forced to see myself in ways that, sometimes people don't have to do. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I'm hopeful I get to meet lots of people. And I hope you all have a good rest of the day. Thanks.